Hello, Mile.
Hi, Kanya.
How are you?
Great, yourself.
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining our little community.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Mile. So I read something very interesting the other day, an article around the construction and engineering, and it basically spoke to how the industry is on the mend. So, and it went as far as actually forecasting a 3% increase year on year. Now, as somebody who's been in the industry for many years, would you agree or disagree with the article and why?
Look, those statistics works sometimes, sometimes they don't work. For example, if the times are bad and you're involved in the project, you don't see the bad times.
Yeah.
If the times are good and everyone working, you're still busy, you don't see the difference. Therefore, yeah, it looks like that South Africa is heading in the right direction.
Oh, that's
We
great.
just need more investment in infrastructure because our country is lagging behind providing services,
Yeah.
especially services for the poor people. Water, power, accommodation, hospital, roads. We are not doing well.
We're
But
not.
I hope, you know what they say in Africa, the
Yeah.
best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The next best time to plant a tree is now.
Today.
Therefore, don't worry about the past. If you can start now, it would be great for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Okay, so Mile, I also noticed that you've spent obviously many, many years of your career wearing safety boots and safety hats, so being on construction sites and engineer sites. And now I see of recent, you obviously made the switch into more a consulting environment. So maybe tell us why the change, but maybe also if you can just tell us about ECS, because I think there are many young people who are in the industry, either studying towards or maybe in the industry that you're in, and they possibly think, this is only the only way that you can have a career. But I see that you obviously have made a switch into consulting. So please tell us about that.
Oh, thank you, Kanya. Let me just provide some circumstances behind my career, and maybe that will help understanding my line of thoughts.
Yeah.
Uh, as you can hear from my name and my accent, I'm not originally from South Africa. I
Mhm.
came to Africa 1992. I'm originally from Bosnia, mechanical engineer. And the reason why I left Bosnia was unfortunately we had a civil war. And I didn't want to take part in civil war. And I always looked at Africa as a place of a lot of sun and opportunities. And I said to myself and my wife, let's go and try our new life and career in Africa. And
Yeah.
indeed, in 92, we ended up in Zimbabwe. I
Okay.
couldn't enter South Africa at the time. I didn't have visa for South Africa. Anyway, spent a
Mm,
few months in Zimbabwe, and my first project was in Botswana. I
sure.
spent 2.5 years in Botswana. And after elections in South Africa in November 94, we moved to South Africa.
Oh.
Technically, I'm New South Africa. Maybe I don't look like a New South Africa, but I'm technically New South Africa.
Yeah.
Now, ever since I came to Africa,
Mm,
before I came to Africa, I worked in industrial environment with Volkswagen and a large bearing manufacturing company, SKF from Sweden, and
yeah.
Volkswagen from Germany. And we had the factories in my former country in Bosnia, and I worked in industrial environment. But when I came to Africa, I got involved in the projects, and quickly enough, from project engineer, I became a project manager, then operations manager, general manager. I ended up being managing director of engineering construction companies. That's where we met in Mare Roberts a couple of years
Yeah.
back. We
Yeah.
won't mention the time, but let's go
No.
sometimes in the back.
Yeah.
And yeah, projects are challenging and exciting at the same time
Mm,
because it's always new set of people, new set of circumstances, and new set of challenges. But
mm,
there are many generic things which can be applied, which are universal for any project environment.
yeah.
Uh, Up until 2015, I was hands-on involved in the projects, either as an engineer or as a contractor.
Yeah.
And I can say I bought a T-shirt with all the lessons learned, good, bad, and everything in between.
Yeah.
And then in 2015, I was on a crossroads. Shall I continue with the hands-on involvement, with the safety boots on and hard hat on,
Mm,
or should I try to share my acquired lessons to others
mm,
and try to kind of nudge the country in a better direction? Why
yeah.
I'm saying that because many of the projects, as you know, in South Africa specifically,
Mm,
end up in troubles
yeah.
because many things are not done right. And I feel like, in Maslow hierarchy levels,
Mm,
firstly, you need to look after yourself. And
yeah.
when you take care of yourself, then you start looking after others.
Yeah.
I guess in my stage of career, and for the last 10 years, I feel I need to give back rather than take away.
Yeah.
And I try to share my knowledge and acquired wisdom as much as I can. Some will listen, some won't, but
Mm,
I can't change that. At least I feel okay with myself
yeah.
if I try to give back as much as can help somebody else to do projects better than we used to do.
Yeah.
And I joined Andrew Baird, who started ECS in 1993.
Okay.
He's a quite mature individual now. He's 84.
Okay.
10 years ago, he was 74. He wanted to close the business.
Mm,
And yeah, we wanted to change the way how the business is done.
yeah.
And I didn't want him to close the business. But the reason why I joined him is because he was representing NEC in South Africa. And also, he's one of the original drafters of NEC on an NEC committee.
Yes.
Uh, NEC is a contract which should promote collaboration and
Mm,
mutual trust and cooperation as well. Now, those things sit well with me because
mm,
there are too much of adversarial relationships in the projects
mm,
which are not conducive for many things.
mm,
For one, projects usually don't produce results as they should be. Two, in adversarial environments, young people don't learn. Why is that? Because more experienced people get sucked into problems, disputes, chasing money
mm,
instead of building young people.
mm.
Again, African proverb,
Yeah.
if when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers.
Yeah.
And that same goes for the projects.
Mm,
If the key people on the projects are fighting with each other, it is the
yeah.
young people that are going
Mm,
to suffer.
sure.
And I feel it shouldn't be like that.
Mm,
It shouldn't be like that because if the projects are prepared well
mm,
and executed well, then
mm,
everyone benefits.
mm,
Communities where the projects are executed, people who are involved in the projects, young people acquire new knowledge, clients get what they pay for, contractors make money, and then we move forward. And it is
mm,
possible to do so. And
mm.
I'm passionate about it. Therefore, whenever I talk about projects and I talk about passion and enthusiasm, people ask me if I'm a preacher. I said, no, I'm not a preacher.
Yes.
I don't preach anything. I'm just I'm just saying what I feel.
Yes.
And people perceive it that I'm so passionate about it that they believe. Some of them believe, some of them won't, but
Yeah.
again, it is their choice in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
ECS nowadays is a quite well-established company.
Okay.
Last year we had over 100 people in our business.
Oh, wow.
We executed a couple large projects for key clients like Anglo American, Eskom. We did a 6 billion rand project for Score Metals close to Alberton in Wadeville. And it was absolutely successful project within a budget on time.
Oh,
And we didn't have a single dispute on a project.
oh,
But
wow.
it required a open mind and a approach where everyone was treated fairly
Mm,
and we worked together as a team and
mm.
we jointly achieved the success.
That's amazing, really. Because I was actually going to ask what's been the reception then, in terms of, what you then preach about, especially in South Africa.
Look, some people accept what I'm talking about and they join, but
Mm,
some people are skeptical and they say, that's nonsense. All
mm,
what you need is a very rigid contract and a contract will sort it out.
sure.
I see the world differently.
Mm,
I see the world as place where you need to win people's trust and respect,
mm,
win their hearts and minds, and then you can achieve success.
yeah.
But if you think that you can artificially impose something through contracts, I call it false economy.
Yeah.
And that's one of the major problems that we have, not just in South Africa, around the world,
Mm.
that clients think that lawyers can help them by
Mm.
setting up contracts which are very rigid and very one-sided, which means the contracts which protects clients.
Yeah.
Uh, and I always ask, okay, Mr. Client, if your lawyers are protecting you, who
Mm.
is protecting contractors?
Mm.
Now, the answer would be, oh, they need to have their own lawyers. Great. But then, most importantly, who is protecting the projects?
Yeah.
Because the project is most important.
Yeah.
Because if the projects are successful, everyone benefits. And,
Yeah.
and I give them analogy like if two men and women go into the marriage and they want to have a kid,
Yeah.
but they keep on fighting, who's going to look after the kid? Who's
Mm.
going to raise up the kid?
Yeah.
And the same goes in the projects. If the client and the contractor are fighting, nobody is taking care of the kid. Probably street will take care of the kid, but then you will get result that you may not like it.
No, definitely not. And then the child suffers. So,
That's
me,
correct.
what would you tell, what advice would you give to a young person, knowing what you know about the industry and some of the challenges that you may have experienced? What do you wish somebody would have told you much earlier on in your career going into this industry?
Okay, again, let's go back to my own background. When
Mm.
I came to Africa, English, as you can hear, is not my mother tongue.
Yeah,
In reality, in South Africa, English is not the mother tongue of 90% of the people.
yeah,
And
that's
yet we use it,
right.
and yet we use it for the
Yeah.
business environment. Therefore, I needed to learn about proper use of English language in business environment. The secondly, I thought the way how others are doing the things and they execute the project, that's the only way because they know it, which is not the case. And I realized that perceived differences that we see, we think that we are different. As soon as you scratch the surface, we are more same than we are different. If you connect on a human level,
Yeah,
then you can achieve anything.
yeah,
But if you force the differences, any small obstacle will throw you away.
yeah,
For that reason, I adopted the view that being human centric and focusing on people is more important than anything else.
yeah,
And those ones who manage to overcome challenges of connecting with the people will overcome all other challenges.
yeah,
But if you don't connect with the people, any problems will be so big that you can't resolve it.
yeah,
Therefore, for the young people,
yeah.
advice from my side is
Mm.
being inexperienced without competencies, all of us were at that place at one point in time.
Yeah,
But you can compensate that with many other things like energy, enthusiasm, being positive about work, about life, engage with the people, connect with the people, look and find a mentor because there are always people out there on the fringes who could be your mentor.
mm.
Maybe they're not vocal about it, but
Mm.
you don't get if you don't ask.
Mm.
You need to go and ask, be assertive.
Mm.
And success is not a result of experience and competence.
Mm.
Success is a result of understanding what we want to do as a team
Mm.
and doing what team needs to be done with the energy, passion, enthusiasm, and understanding how we can win together.
Mm.
Experience and competence will help,
Yeah,
but somebody of us in a team will have experience and competency that we don't have.
yeah,
But we can do many other things which will compensate our lack of experience and competency. By doing so quickly enough, we'll gather experience and competence as well.
yeah. I always say, Mile, that if you have a good attitude, you can be taught anything. Somebody can take you to the moon and back. But if you don't, because you can learn skill and you can learn experience, but if you have a bad attitude, unfortunately, there's not much
Yeah.
that you can learn from.
I say the same thing. I say, I can help only those ones who wants to be helped.
Yeah, true. Well,
As simple as that.
Mile, you touched on success. And I think we live in a society where, a lot of people define success through either material things or through having a lot of money. I think it's always so important. I'm always so fascinated to just understand, especially people like yourself who've gone on to achieve great things in their careers. What does success look like for you? How do you define success?
I think success is a relative thing. Again, let me go back to my early days of my career.
Mm.
My first success was to be independent, to find a first job,
Okay.
and to be able to pay my own bills. That was my success.
Success. Yeah.
Then you set up other objectives, and then as you go older, then your success changes.
Yeah.
I think we have a wrong perception of success, that success is some kind of nirvana out there
Yeah.
and it's difficult to get there. I think we need to set up the goals which are realistic, achievable, and then as we achieve those goals, we
Yeah.
build on success. And then success breeds success.
Yeah.
Today I can say, oh, I want to climb a Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And then if I don't climb Mount Everest next 5, 10, 15 years, I'm not successful.
Yeah.
But I could be wise to say, okay, let me next month climb Mahalasberg Koppies.
Yeah.
And I go over the weekend to Mahalasberg Koppies. I climb them. Whoa, I achieved the success. Now I can tick that box. Let's go, let's climb something else. And then I slowly build it up.
Yeah.
But there is a one saying which I remember a long time ago,
Mm.
which says, as you climb the ladders of success in your career,
Mm.
be respectful and be supportive of those people that you meet along the way. Why?
Mm.
Because one day you'll be climbing down the same ladders, and when you meet those same
Ah,
people, hopefully, hopefully, you'll enjoy meeting them. You won't be afraid of
okay.
meeting them.
Okay.
Therefore, as you go through the life and through success,
Yeah.
doesn't matter what stage of life success you are and
Yeah.
who are you interacting with as a CEO or cleaner or whoever,
Yeah.
treat everyone equally with
Mm.
respect,
Love that.
with the love, with care. It doesn't cost much money to say good morning,
Mm.
how are you, how was your day, and so on and so forth, because everyone around the world is the same. If you respect people, they will give you respect back.
Yeah. And Mile, I can attest to the fact that you were that leader. You walk in every morning, those many years ago, and you would greet every single person, really. And I think that's why I just have so much respect for you as a leader, because just in terms of how you led, and the first time that I actually understood what servant leadership means was through seeing it live, through how you led the organization, because we went through some really tough times then, but you just kept everybody going. So yeah.
Thank you, Kanya. As I said, doesn't cost any money.
Yeah.
And it is the thing that you decide every morning when you wake up.
Yeah.
Am I going through this day as a miserable person?
Yeah.
Or am I going through this day that I'm going to enrich somebody's life? And by enriching somebody's life, I'll enrich myself.
Yeah.
And it's so gratifying that not just Kanya, I
Yeah.
had many other people getting in touch with me,
Mm.
asking me for advice, asking me for contact, and so on and so forth. And that's your reaching, and that's a success. But you reach that success towards later years of your career. As I said earlier, earlier years in your career, you need to dig the trenches as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can do it with dignity. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what job you're doing it. If you have smile on your face,
Yeah.
that will take you through your life. I remember
Mm.
when I moved to South Africa in November 94,
Mm.
and I tried to find work in South Africa.
Mm.
Uh, Elections were in April. This is now November 94.
Yeah.
And there were some adverts, and I applied to those adverts. And there was some employment agency that they told me, "Ooh, tough times. This is different world. We can't employ white people anymore,
Mm.
But you know what, Mile? I
Mm.
can't give you this job, but keep on smiling and have a positive outlook. You'll find somebody who will push you forward."
Mm.
There we
Sure.
go. There we go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I dealt with it. And I
Yeah.
try to ignore whether I'm white or not white, or whether I'm
Yeah.
dealing with somebody who is white or not white. I
Yeah.
would always have the same attitude, same approach.
Yeah.
This is the human to human contact.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out, sometimes doesn't work out,
Yeah.
but be honest and be truthful,
Yeah.
and good things will happen.
Yeah.
I have a theory in my life which I still live by.
Mm.
I always try to tell the truth for many reasons, but one of the obvious reasons is it's much easier to remember.
Yeah. My mother
Because
always says that. My mother
when
always said that. When you tell the truth, you don't need to remember anything, you know?
here we go, it's easiest to remember.
Yeah.
And therefore, when you go through your life and you meet with people, as long as you're truthful, it's easy to communicate with everyone.
True. And Mila, I think, throughout your journey, it couldn't have been easy, all the time. Yes, you've had some good times, but I think there've been some real challenges. So if you can maybe share some of those challenges with us and some of the lessons that you may have learned.
Yeah, look, to become a leader in organization, whether it's a sport, a religious group, or business,
Mm.
it has a perks, but it has a responsibilities
Yeah,
because people look up to you.
yeah,
If they see fear and if they see doubt, then people will also feel fear and doubt.
yeah,
As a leader, you need to understand that you are not there just for yourself, you are there for people who look up to you.
yeah.
Therefore, when the times are tough, you still need to find a ray of hope somewhere
Mm.
because people have to have hope in the
Yeah.
most difficult times.
Mm.
And even if we together are going to have problems, as
Mm.
long as we are together and we communicate that and we share that together, it's easier.
Yeah.
Problem halved is problem
Mm.
reduced.
Yes.
And a happiness, when you achieve something good, multiplies.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's so important that you have that cohesion in a team. When
Yeah.
you have a difficult times, you share the pain. When you
Yeah.
have a good times, you enjoy much more.
Yeah. And Mila, what were some of the challenges career-wise? Because, we may have some young person out there who's in the industry that you're in and they are trying to navigate and they may feel like what they're going through is maybe unique to them, and maybe it isn't. Maybe it's something that you may have come across. And how did you navigate it?
Now, the most painful times in my career was that when the business times are tough and you need to reduce the number of people in your company and you have to go through the process of retrenchment.
Yeah.
This is the time when you have to decide who is staying, who is leaving, and those ones who are leaving, are they going to have a food on the table? Are
Mm.
they going to be able to pay the bills?
Mm.
And you have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And you know that you don't have a choice because whether you make them or somebody else make them, those decisions are there.
Yeah.
You can't avoid them.
Yeah.
But what I learned, if you face those challenges again with respect and with the open communication
Mm.
and with the undertaking that even with the people with difficult times, you can tell them, look, I can't help you now in this circumstance,
Yeah.
but further down the line, you can take me as your reference. You can ask for advice. You
Mm.
can call me. I can help you as much as I can.
Mm.
And in difficult times, even that helps.
Mm.
Therefore, again, element of hope, even in the most difficult times, is
Mm.
very important.
Mm.
The other difficulties is when in the projects you face circumstances that your project is going to lose money.
Mm. Sure.
And as you're going to lose money, how are you going to present it to your shareholders, to your directors?
Sure.
Again, I learned something which I share with everyone.
Mm.
Be mature to share the bad news as fast as you can,
Mm.
but keep the good news in your back pocket and share it when you need it.
Mm. Okay.
And
Yeah.
and in a business, nobody said that all times will be happy times.
Yeah.
Like in sport, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Yeah.
Therefore, you need to be prepared for both.
Yeah.
In life, outside of the business, we have happy moments when new babies are born. We have sad moments when people die.
Yeah.
But we need to go through all of that.
Yeah.
And nobody told us that business is going to be straight line or life is going to be straight line.
No.
There will be challenges. We just need to live up to those challenges and do it again respectfully.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Mila. I think I could speak to you all afternoon, but I see our time is up. And I just have one last question, please. So I think, when people are climbing up the ladder in their career, there's obviously a lot of focus around the technical abilities on how to do their jobs. But I think as you grow in your career, there are other personal attributes that are required of you. And maybe if you can share with us, what are some of those personal attributes that have shaped you into the leader that you then became?
Yeah. I would like to go back to our African circumstances.
Mhm.
There is a concept of Ubuntu, which is so wonderful,
Mm,
so fantastic.
mm.
And yet, as soon as the project starts, Ubuntu is thrown through the window.
Sure.
Where is Ubuntu? Gone. Poof. But why is that?
Mm,
Now, the English word for Ubuntu probably is collaboration or
mm,
maybe teamwork.
mm.
Now, what helped me in my career is I always try to make teams and alliances with the people that I work. Doesn't matter whether they are doing a trivial administrative job or doing something more important in the company. Everyone
Yeah,
has a role to play, and everyone's role is important.
yeah,
For the young people, to tell them experience and competence, you can gain that over the time,
yeah.
but you can substitute that with energy,
Mm,
open mind.
mm,
Be curious, question.
mm,
The way how the older people are doing things is not necessarily the best way.
mm,
We are living in a different era.
mm,
We have a digital tools, fourth industrial revolution.
mm.
Our young people are growing up in a different environment where knowledge is accessible through press of the button.
Yeah, AI is incredible.
When I was growing up, if
Mm,
I need to find something out, you either buy a newspaper,
yeah,
you ask somebody, or you go to library.
yeah,
Now in library, you're lucky if you find a book which has the information that you're looking for. And now when I compare that with the days of internet and you just ask AI whatever you want to ask
yeah,
and you have information, I think that younger people needs to embrace knowledge which is out there,
mm,
but use it with some method or measure because not everything which is given to us is correct.
yeah,
And what works in Japan or Germany or America, not necessarily working in Africa as well.
yeah,
We have our culture and
mm,
habits here in South Africa, which
mm,
are different from those ones somewhere else in the world.
mm,
And what we fall into trap that we believe that some consultants from America or Europe
yeah,
they can come and tell us how things should be done.
mm,
And yet we ignore our inner strength that we have.
mm,
And I would like to take example of Springboks.
mm,
This is absolutely wonderful example of how we as a South Africans can be successful.
mm,
And if you just go a couple of years back,
mm,
we lost 57-0 from New Zealand. That means we were hopeless as
mm,
a team.
mm,
And somebody came about Rassi Erasmus like a great strategist,
mm,
and he managed to create a team around the new project manager who is a Sia Kolisi.
mm,
And what happened? They agreed the strategy to become a better team. And then the team bought into the strategy and they executed whatever strategy was in a field of play. But the most importantly, the
mm,
team played in a spirit of Ubuntu
yeah,
because they didn't care where they come from. All what they care for is whether Springboks are going to win or not. They
yeah,
didn't care whether they're going to score the try individually or not.
yeah,
All what they were caring for is to win.
yeah,
And
together.
When Sia Kolisi was accepting those awards, he said, we didn't play for anything else but for those hopeful people in South Africa who saw us as a hope for a change for better.
Mm,
And we in South Africa, we don't have the best players, we don't have money as much as England, France, or other teams, and
mm,
yet we managed to beat them.
sure,
How? Because we play to our strengths.
yeah,
And our strength was to unite people who were there and to play for the country. Now, the same recipe could be applied in a business environment.
Yeah,
It's not easy, but it's possible.
it's possible. Sure. Mile, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate your time. I appreciate sharing all your knowledge and all your wisdom. And yeah, thank you very much, Mile. We are
You're
time.
welcome. You can contact me anytime, and I'm
Thank you.
glad that you're also taking initiative to share some of these things with other people because everyone needs to hear others and make their own ways
So,
because there is no one way of being successful in life. Everyone have to find their own ways.
sure. Thanks, Mile.
Thank you. All the best.
Cheers, cheers. You too.
Bye bye.